the Balmoral, a boot model that I rarely discuss. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dale of Dale's Leatherworks, and in today's video I'm extremely excited to be covering a brand that's long been on my radar, Beckett Simonon. I've followed them on Instagram for probably a decade. I've never owned any of their boots until now, and I'm extremely excited to be talking about them today. So this is a Colombia-based boot brand similar to my friend Andres at Bordon Boots. Shout out to Andres. I absolutely love his Juanes boot model, and needless to say, the Colombians do absolutely phenomenal work down there. Now the Balmoral is not the typical type of boot that I gravitate towards, mainly because it is just so dressy, really at home with a suit and not much else, though for this video I did my best and I put on some dark charcoal colored denim to at least try to make these work, but it's 95 degrees outside and I'm not putting on a suit to wear these boots in the summertime. So the dress boot is, once again, not something that I'm constantly shopping for, but that said, as a boot collector, I am ashamed to admit that I oftentimes neglect the staples. It's taken me a long time to obtain staple footwear, mainly because I just buy stuff that I like and that I wear day to day, every day, such as plain toe boots, mock toes, more casual boots, and more wide fitting boots for that matter. The quintessential service boot is basically the perfect boot for my day-to-day life. But that said, there is occasionally a formal occasion and I just simply don't have the footwear for it. It is embarrassing because I am a boot collector and I have a wide range of products behind me as well as on that wall and everywhere else, but having a dressy boot like this, it's rare that I use something like this, and that's just why I haven't gotten any until now. So let me start off by talking about Beckett Simonon a little bit. Beckett Simonon was founded in 2011. They had a leather goods brand which was sold in retail stores. It taught us how to work with this noble material and also revealed an ugly truth. The traditional retail system is broken. We experienced firsthand how retailers priced our products at 8 to 10 times our manufacturing cost. We designed and produced these goods, yet couldn't afford them as consumers. We discovered something else. Retailers know a large percentage of the shoes, clothes, and accessories offered in stores will not sell, so what they do sell needs to support the entire operation. This system affects not only the prices you pay, but also the producers and the planet. There's a lot of waste. Plus, the quest for high profit margins usually comes at the expense of factory workers' dignity and safety. Our experience with traditional retail inspired us to create an innovative way to tackle the problem, one that would benefit the producer, the artisans, the planet, and you. We wanted to offer you high quality, responsible manufacturing, unrivaled prices for an excellent customer experience. The solution was rather simple. Manage all aspects of production instead of sourcing from third parties. Craft products to order instead of keeping inventory, and sell online only instead of wholesaling to retail stores. Very cool, and I will say the customer service experience was just phenomenal. Once the order was placed, I was getting periodic production emails updating me every step of the way as to how far the boots were into production. It was wild. I've never had anything like that. I've never had a maker, a shoemaker, or anything like that reach out to me periodically during the course of production, updating me, telling me, you know, it's in this stage, it's in that stage. It was really cool to get those updates. And it only took about 2 months, I think, from start to the time I had the boots. So it's not an unreasonable wait time. The brands that I buy, it's a similar thing. Like with Truman MTO, you're looking at probably 4 to 8 weeks, and so it just depends on the company that's producing your shoes, but in this case they did come rather quickly. But that said, I do appreciate that they're made to order. That way there is no waste. If one customer elects one pair of boots in this specific size, It doesn't exist yet until you place that order. It's a very efficient use of everybody's resources that way, instead of a factory having to just produce volumes and volumes of these, just hoping that they're all going to sell. They're not all going to sell. Eventually they have to put them on sale to get them to move, and it's just this whole thing. So let me talk about these boots specifically. So these are called the Elliot Balmoral boots. Traditional retail, you'll get these for $400 at a retail store. That's true. After having been in the boot world for as long as I have, I can tell you that it would not be uncommon to walk into a high-end mall, find a boot like this, and they're asking $400 for it. Beckett Simonon's price is $259. Now, that is a heck of a reasonable price. That's exactly what you should be paying for something like this. Anything that you're gonna walk into a store and buy, you can expect a 40% upcharge there, because they have to pay employees, they have to pay overhead, they have to create the illusion that you're buying something truly top of the line. They have to give you that sort of in-store customer service experience, whereas going through Beckett Simonon directly, you're cutting all that out. You're just getting the product delivered to you. It's that simple, and it's pretty awesome. These Balmoral boots come in black, they come in Bordeaux, otherwise known as burgundy, they come in tan, they come in oak, which is a standard brown color, and they come in brown, which is a standard chocolate color. Yeah, oak has sort of like a reddish hue to it. The tan, much more orangey, much more glowy of a color. They run sizes 7 through 14. They do recommend going true to size. So this boot has full grain leather. It's supple, durable, and will develop a beautiful patina. The almond-shaped toe box is refined and contemporary with generous volume. The well-designed tapered waist offers excellent arch support and a lean profile. The leather-lined insoles adapt to your feet's shape to form custom-like footbeds. The vaqueta leather lining manages temperature, absorbs sweat, and controls odor. A steel shank is riveted to the insole and outsole for added balance and support. Blake stitching ensures the shoes are sturdy and resolable with minimum break-in. The stacked leather heel looks fantastic and are easy to repair. The SBR rubber heel caps provide traction, durability, and shock absorption. Hand finished with carnauba wax and shea butter for natural luster and deep color. Handcrafted by master artisans under responsible, ethical working conditions. And so a little bit of history on the Balmoral boot. I dug into this on the Gentleman's Gazette, but Beckett Simonon has a very good write-up on the Balmoral as well. Originally designed in the 1800s for Queen Victoria's consort, Prince Albert. Caveat, don't go Googling images of Prince Albert. I've warned you already. Originally designed for Queen Victoria's consort, Prince Albert, these boots were originally designed as an indoor-outdoor walking shoe. Balmoral boots have always pushed the boundaries of fashion. The upper rises above the golosh with a thin line of stitching along the shaft for a decorative accent. One subtle row of hand-punched broguing adorns the toe cap for a casual touch, and the closed lacing system gives the appearance of an Oxford shoe. The Elliot Balmoral boot's svelte profile is pleasing to the eye, and the cozy interior will have you walking in a world of comfort. Not clunky, chunky, or chintzy. They always turn heads worn with formal attire or casual duds. The product's made from full-grain calfskin leather sourced from a gold-rated tannery based in Arzignano, Italy. Being the highest level of recognition awarded by the Leather Working Group, a gold rating signifies that the leather manufacturer meets the most stringent criteria and demonstrates a strong commitment to mitigating its environmental impact. So the full grain leather is highly breathable, flexible, and durable. Full grain calfskin leather holds its structure and will conform to the shape of your foot. Vaqueta leather lining. A whole-cut piece of soft vaqueta leather lines the interior of your shoes to smooth over any joints or seams. Its natural temperature regulating, moisture absorbing, and breathability will keep you fresh and comfortable. The rubber sole is vulcanized and blended with other materials such as recycled rubber to improve resilience, strength, flexibility, and water resistance. Count on them for stability, traction, support, and buoyancy. SBR rubber heel caps. These are abrasion resistant rubber heel caps that give you extra traction. They're attached with serrated brass tacks for extra reinforcement, which add to the solid construction and longevity of the heel. And quick shout out to a new YouTube channel that I just discovered in researching this brand, Dress Well. During the course of his video, I learned quite a few things, including on the heel cap, yes, that notch that is cut out of the heel cap. That's called the gentleman's notch. And I do notice that on a lot of really refined, elegant dress boots. So that's just another sign of the craftsmanship. So huge thanks to Dresswell's channel. I will leave a link to his Beckett Simonon video in the description below. You should check out his channel. He does a lot of good work, really knows his stuff, really knows the anatomy of a shoe. Gave me a great basis of information for this review. My buddy Nick at Stridewise has also reviewed this brand before, so huge shout out to him. He's done some amazing coverage on this brand already. This particular pair came with 3 sets of waxed cotton laces, which I thought was quite generous, as well as some amazing boot bags in there, and a thank you note. So huge thanks to Beckett Simonon for the outstanding customer service. Well, let's talk about these boots. So I'm a 9 Brannock. I got these in a size 9, and I will say, like, I wear an 8.5 in most US boot brands. I'm an 8.5 in Thursday. These boots might run consistent with like Thursday sizing, but I'm gonna throw in a big caveat to that. So they do look a little long, but part of that, I believe, is cosmetic. As you can see, it's got this sort of slope at the toe. I don't believe your toes are meant to come to the tip of this, because you look at this last, it's such a pointy last. Getting these on, they were a little tight. I do feel though that the ball of my foot, i.e. the widest part of my foot, fills out this area right here, which is where it's supposed to be. So that means that I have quite a bit of toe room in the front. So if you're a guy that's like super neurotic about having your toes come to all the way to the front of the boot, then this last might not work for your foot type unless you have a really narrow foot type. Yes, going true to size, going size 9, that's the sizing I recommend, because whenever I've bought other like really refined, elegant shoes like Johnston & Murphy's, I size the same as I do in boots. I bought 8.5 in Johnston & Murphy. They were just too small. Allen Edmonds runs small, and again, this is going to be one of those more elegant bootmakers / shoemakers, and so their product is going to be narrow, and it's going to have a very elegant, chiseled silhouette every angle that you look at it from. And so I'm very happy with these in a size 9. I fear that if I went to an 8.5, it might be more technically my correct fit, but at the same time, they would probably definitely be too small, because it was hard for me getting my foot in there the first time. But after walking around with them in medium weight socks, they were super comfortable. Yes, for all intents and purposes, my top recommendation for sizing, go true to size, go a half up from Red Wing, go a half up from Alden. Yeah, you should be good to go there. Now, if you have a narrow foot or a low volume foot, then I would actually advise going the half down. So it'd bring the length down a little bit and your foot would fill it out a lot better. But in my case, I have a wide foot, probably an E-width. If you have an E-width foot and or a high volume foot, then you definitely want to go true to size. Low volume foot, half size down. Let's talk about the build a little bit. So we've got a cap toe with broguing. It's a perforated cap toe with pinking all along there. Those jagged edges are the pinking. It is 360 degree rapid Blake stitch welted. These are not Goodyear welted, though they are still fully resolable. Don't let anybody make you paranoid about that. We've got 5 blind eyelets, 4 speed hooks, fully lined with Vaqueta veg tan, which, yes, I can attest, Vaqueta leather. It's a veg tan. It's very breathable, very soft, cushiony, glove-like lining. Definitely wicks moisture. This black calfskin is very pebbly, and it is finished, so it's not a T-core. It's a finished leather, meaning it's painted over, and so you're not going to get any T-coring throughout the lifetime of the shoe. What you will get, though, is some creasing along the vamp, which has already started. The outsole is really cool vulcanized rubber, and it's also textured. It's also got a channeled line for the welt to be recessed in there, as to prevent the outsole welt stitching from getting frayed and damaged, which is really cool. And then we have a veg tan insole. We've got 3 stacks of veg tan in the heel stack, and then a rubber heel cap, and then, so yeah, 6 layers in the heel stack. Not a dramatic heel raise, but still there. It's not completely flat either. And then what is very distinctive about the Balmoral is it is essentially an Oxford shoe, but then it's got the top, or the quarter area, is a separate panel of leather entirely. And so we've got this, the bottom area is stitched over the top panel, which is really interesting. We've got a back heel strip, very beautiful, elegant hourglass shaped back heel strip, and French binding at the top, fully finished edges all along this closed laced panel. Super nice, really well done stitching. The joint welt is visible on the right boot. Again, not something I care about. And then what's really neat, one of my favorite features about this, is how just this center portion of the sole is beveled. And it's beveled very well. I could tell they did that by hand as well, and it's just this portion, and it's like that on the anterior as well as the exterior portion of the boot. It's just beveled right in that midfoot area. I needed a pair of black dress shoes, and so I'm really happy to have landed these. These are going to go great with my tuxedo whenever a time comes for me to have to wear it. And so this is according to Gentleman's Gazette. What is a Balmoral? The term Balmoral is used to denote an Oxford shoe. The Balmoral boot is a boot and boot only, not a shoe, whereas the Oxford is just that. So what is a Balmoral boot? A quick glance at the dictionary and we come up with the impression that it is a heavy laced walking shoe. However, this is clearly not the whole picture. To put it simply, we would prefer to describe it as an Oxford in the form of a boot. So a Balmoral boot typically is going to have this closed lacing system, which means both the eyelet facing panels come to a complete close when they're fully laced up. Contrast that with something like Truman. The eyelet facings do not meet all the way in the center. I prefer this type of lace up because it gives you wiggle room for how far your laces are separated. And with my high instep, I need that. With these boots, this is just the style, and the instep is not crushing my foot at all. At an 8.5, I could tell these would crush my instep. But yeah, closed lacing system, very elegant, very beautiful. A distinctive seam that runs parallel to the ground, starting at the throat line near the vamp and meeting at the rear of the boot, thus dividing the boot into upper and lower portions. The upper portion is referred to as the top. This is the defining characteristic of the Balmoral boot. The lower portion is stitched on top of the upper portion. Balmoral boots typically have a center seam running the entire length from the heel to the top of the boot. Leather soles, usually 9 eyelets. In this case, we have 9. Sometimes the top part of the boot will be made in a different color and a different material than the bottom, though that is not required. And yes, that's getting a little crazy for me in my taste, especially when it comes to this style of a boot. I prefer one uniform, just all black, jet black, top to bottom. So the histories about the Balmorals are really cool. So they were designed originally for Prince Albert as a walking boot. Prince Albert was looking for a walking boot that he could wear both on the grouse moors of his Scottish estate, Balmoral, and which would look suitably stylish indoors as well. One is not too sure as to who his bootmaker was, but it is alleged that it may have been John Lobb, who founded his business in 1849. It seems much more likely that Joseph Sparks Hall made these boots for Prince Albert because he was well known and respected at the time and had already invented boots with side elastics for Queen Victoria. And there's a picture of Prince Albert wearing these shoes, which is really cool. The Balmoral was waterproofed to protect the feet from wet gore. Queen Victoria took a liking to the style and had several pairs made for herself, as she too liked to walk the grounds of Balmoral. With such distinguished wearers, it should come to no surprise that they became extremely popular with the gentry and later the general public alike. However, it is surprising that a boot designed for a country estate became popular as a walking boot and later also as a dress boot for frock coats and morning coats. Apart from men, even women adopted the Balmoral boots for day wear. Since they were first seen at the Balmoral, they became known as the Balmoral boot. Balmoral shares a common history with the Chelsea boot. Both were patronized by Queen Victoria. The Chelsea boot was patented in 1851 by J. Sparks Hall, but invented as early as 1837. It remains uncertain when exactly the Balmoral boot was designed, but it must have been later, as Balmoral estate was purchased for Queen Victoria by Prince Albert in 1852. The style of these Balmoral boots quickly changed to contain contrasting inserts in suede, velour, leather, and linen. Favorite combinations include black box calf with gray, white, or off-white suede or fabric inserts, and people who cannot afford such boots would try to copy the look by using spat. So thank you, Gentleman's Gazette. Link to this article in the description below. There's a lot I left out in that. So a little bit more on the build. So they are made in Colombia. They have brass nails on the heel cap, which I think just looks so cool. They're stamped on the inside. Beckett Simonon 14044 3D size 9. And yeah, they're quite lightweight. The toe is structured, and yes, quite almondy, as you can tell by the shape, and it really cuts in as most Oxfords would. It's very much built on an Oxford type of a last. Very dressy, very high culture. Normally my style of boot is going to be a more generous, wide-fitting boot like the Alden Indy or the Viberg 2030 or the Truman 79 or the Grant Stone Leo, all of which I love, but sometimes the occasion calls for a really dressy Balmoral type boot slash Oxford cap toe, and now I finally have one after probably 150 pairs of boots that I've gone through. Finally I've landed something truly timeless, truly classic, truly occasion specific. So with that said, I'll shut it down. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm Dale of Dale's Leatherworks. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe, and anyways, I got a lot more content coming up, so stay tuned for that. End of transmission.